Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Dungeons & Dragons Shadow of the Dragonlance Shadow of the Dragon Queen by F. Wesley Schneider. And I want to talk about a third ending option for the player characters when they have brought down the Flying Citadel, and basically that option is Raven Uth Vogler, and the player characters returning to the quaint fishing village of Vogler, which is downriver from Calamon, down the Vingard River, and this tiny little fishing village that is burned. And the player characters, at the end, they receive a medallion of Calamon, and at this point, they have the option to not go with Darrett to become Knights of Solamnia, or become connected more to the Knights of Solamnia. And also they have the option to turn down becoming Knights of Calamon, which is this distinct knighthood that is connected to the city of Calamon. And these other two branches, right? You know, Knight of Solamnia, you're going to restore honor to the Knights of Solamnia because they don't have honor at this point. They still don't, because they have so many of their knights have turned evil. Knights of Calamon, campaign option. There's this rich metropolis, and they can deal with, merchants, and they can get lots of, they could become Knights of Solamnia and work their way up, being, powerful knights in defense of Solamnia, and they can build real lives in Calamon, right? And but then there's this third option, which is Raven Uth Vogler. So Raven Uth Vogler is the mayor of this quaint little fishing village, which was burnt to the ground by the Red Dragon army, destroyed, and all these refugees, float downriver in a tied together collection of fishing boats, and then are kept outside of Calamon, outside the walls of Calamon. And so the only reason the player characters would go down this road, there's a few reasons. One, if they had some kind of incredibly personal, meaningful interaction with Raven Uth Vogler herself, or with the villagers of Vogler, right? And so there's a possibility that the player characters really became attached to these refugees, right? And this is a completely different path for Dungeons & Dragons, and this is why I love Dungeons & Dragons so much. Is right now we are definitely a world of refugees, right? We see refugees coming in America. We see refugees coming up from South America, where incredible violence, incredible poverty impacts their lives, and they're like, America's a land of peace and prosperity. And then we have a river of people, just flowing into America at a rate that we can, Americans are questioning, is this healthy, right? To receive this many legal and to receive this many people coming in from another nation in different forms, right? In different statuses of legality, and it's a lot, right? And so this is an area where Dungeons & Dragons has this incredible option where it can really tell these incredibly unique stories. And so this is a story where, if there was even one player character who's like, I really feel the plight of these refugees, I want to go back and rebuild Vogler, right? But if they do that, if they go back to rebuild Vogler, there's a really good chance they're going to become either the mayors themselves, or major merchants, or major stakeholders in this tiny little city, because they're so powerful, right? Their presence there will really reshape and recast like the entire future of Vogler. And even their choice to not help Vogler or to help Vogler could make massive differences on what happens with this quaint little fishing village. And it is really, really interesting. In addition to that, like, the other issue is it is an option. It's almost like it really is America. It really is amazing how much D&D really tells American stories, right? So if you go with this Vogler option, you're turning your back on the big city, and what you're really doing is you're doing the American suburbs, right? And in America, we have these suburban lives, right? And this is, what if I want to set up a small players troupe, or what if I just want to own a tiny little magic shop, right? Or what if I want to, sell some type of resources? I want to run the general store, or I want to own an inn, or I want to own all three of those, right? And your player characters have this option to go and make a different life in Vogler. And this is the power of Dungeons and Dragons, right? Knight of Solamnia, Knight of Calamon, resident of Calamon, resident of Vogler, right? Calamon, this big metropolis. Vogler, the suburbs of Calamon. And the fact that Dungeons and Dragons is recrafting and reshaping the American vision in a fantasy realm, right? And really totally recasting American fantasy and saying, Tolkien can go kick rocks. We're gonna tell American stories now. America owns fantasy for realsies, right? Really, really fascinating, and I just absolutely love this aspect of the Dragonlance Shadow of the Dragon Queen, and I'm really enjoying just looking at this beautiful array of endings that F. Wesley Snyder sets at the end of Dragonlance Shadow of the Dragon Queen. Every word of that is my opinion. What's important is when I get to hear your opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic, please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.